What's up, adventurers? Trick or treat. It's Spooky D&D Month, and today we're taking a peek into the mist-shrouded realm of Dungeons and Dragons to explore a topic that's as elusive as a will-o-wisp in a haunted swamp. Why is running a horror-themed D&D campaign so darn hard? Peep my new outfit, just in time for Spooky Month. Now, don't worry, the robes of wisdom aren't completely gone, but now that I've taken my final form, you'll never know which version of me I really am. I even got these cool cog-themed dice to go along with it. Now before we get started, I've got to adjust my spectacles because I can't see my script. Horror, Dungeons and Dragons. You might be thinking, hey, I'll just throw some zombies, dim the lights, and voila, instant horror. But crafting a genuinely chilling D&D experience is an art form that goes beyond tossing in creepy creatures. It requires a delicate balance of atmosphere, pacing, and player engagement. So grab your torches and silvered weapons as we navigate the challenges of running a horror-based campaign and how to overcome them. First off, let's talk about atmosphere. In your typical D&D sessions, humor is a staple. A bard might crack a joke, or a wizard's spell might backfire hilariously, and someone will inevitably try to seduce the dragon. But in a horror setting, these lighthearted moments can shatter the tension faster than you can say gelatinous cube. Why does this happen? Well, players often use humor as a defense mechanism against fear. It's a natural human response to alleviate tension, and while laughter is great, it can undermine the spooky vibe you're trying to create. So, how do you keep the creepy vibes alive? Well, this won't be a shock to anybody. I think it comes up at least once a video, and this should underline its importance. So, set the tone from the very beginning by having a session 0. Discuss the themes, expectations, and boundaries with your players. Make sure everyone's on the same page about maintaining the horror atmosphere. Encourage players to create characters with fears, flaws, and dark backstories. When characters have a personal stake in the horror elements, players are more likely to stay immersed. Gently steer the game back on track if things get a little too jokey. You can use in-game events like a sudden cold breeze or a distant scream to remind players of the setting. I love using a program called Pocket Bard personally to establish a spooky atmosphere, and I throw on some occasional screams or wolf howls. It's completely free to use, and most of the functions are anyways, and there are no ads. I would highly recommend checking it out, and let me know in the comments if you use it, or when you do, what you think. Suppose a player starts making light of a haunted mansion. You could describe how their character suddenly feels a cold hand on their shoulder, only to turn and find nothing there. This subtle cue can pull them back into the atmosphere. Next up is pacing. Horror relies heavily on timing and suspense. In movies and books, creators control the pace to build tension. But in Dungeons and Dragons, the open-ended nature of the game mechanics, like turn-based combat, can disrupt the flow. And this isn't exclusive to D&D, this is also a problem with most TTRPGs. So how can you manage pacing effectively? You can introduce situations where time is of the essence. For instance, a mechanical device trapping a valuable NPC, and the players only have a few minutes to stop the clock's countdown before "off with their head" isn't just a French slogan, but a very real threat to the game's plot. You should use real-world timers, like those little sand files that you turn upside down. Tell your players that they have 10 real minutes to solve a puzzle or escape a trap. This creates a sense of urgency that keeps the tension high. Keep battles quick and deadly. Use fewer monsters with higher stakes. Perhaps the enemy is a single, terrifying creature that can incapacitate a player in one hit. Describe combat scenes vividly but concisely. Focus on the visceral elements, the clang of steel, the sting of a wound, the roar of a beast, to keep players engaged without dragging out the encounter. And don't underestimate the power of sensory details. Vivid descriptions can make your world come alive and immerse your players in the horror experience. Instead of saying, "You enter a dark room," try "Shadows twist" as your torchlight flickers against the damp stone walls, revealing cryptic symbols etched in dried blood. Incorporate eerie noises like a distant wail echoes through the halls. Its origin unclear, but its chill undeniable. You can engage their olfactory senses. The stench of decay hangs heavily in the air, a putrid reminder of the crypt's long forgotten inhabitants. You can describe physical sensations. A cold, clammy breeze brushes against your neck, raising goosebumps despite the stifling air. Use ambient music or sound effects if possible. A playlist of haunting melodies or the sound of dripping water can elevate the atmosphere significantly. When I was writing this section, I was reminded of a line I read recently in a Warhammer 40k novel. It read, "As he looked back down at the dying woman, she smiled back up at him, revealing 1,000 hairy teeth. 'Will you let us out?' she laughed." Now, let's discuss player agency. In horror, characters often feel powerless against overwhelming odds. In D&D, players are used to being the heroes who can slay dragons and topple gods. Balancing these two can be tricky. There's a classic problem in horror games, and it's that many DMs feel the only way to scare their players is by taking away their power. Instead, I challenge you to introduce enemies that are just currently beyond the player's ability to defeat. They must find alternative solutions, like researching weaknesses or gathering special items. Present choices with no easy answers. These decisions can add weight and tension. Restrict access to spells, equipment, or rests. A depleted party facing unknown horrors heightens the sense of danger. Instead of taking away their abilities, you just raise the stakes and let them know the consequences of failure. For example, the players encounter a cursed artifact that's draining life from the surrounding area. Destroying it could save many, but it also holds the soul of an innocent trapped inside. What do? Make sure you follow my previous tip on describing the scenes and setting the mood, and suddenly you've created a sense of dread. Horror thrives on the unknown. The fear of what might be lurking around the corner is often scarier than the monster itself. So I don't want you to reveal all the details at once. Let your players piece together the clues about the antagonist or the source of the horror. NPCs may provide conflicting accounts, adding to the mystery. One villager says that the beast walks on 2 legs, while another swears it slithers like a serpent. Play with perceptions, hallucinations, dreams, and illusions, which can help make your players question reality and what's real. Keep notes on what information each player character has uncovered. You can use this to tailor individual experiences, enhancing the mystery and personalization. Before we go further, let's touch on safety tools. Horror campaigns can dive into dark and disturbing themes. It is critical to ensure that all of your players are comfortable. You should be implementing safety measures like the X card, a simple card that any player can tap if they're uncomfortable. This signals to move away from the current content without explanation. You can discuss topics that are off limits, lines, and those that are okay if only handled delicately, veils. Periodically ask your players how they're feeling about the game's content. Remember, the goal is for everybody to have fun. Respecting boundaries is key to positive gaming experiences for everybody. And horror is also more effective when everybody is invested. Encourage your players to contribute to the atmosphere. Let players add elements to the setting or their backstory, creating personal stakes in your campaign. Occasionally allow players to describe their fears or reactions in detail. Bonus points if you put in the comments section below which famous DM is known for constantly asking their players, and how does your character feel in this moment? After sessions, ask for input on what worked and what didn't. Use this to adjust future sessions. For example, a player might suggest that their character has been having a nightmare about a shadowy figure. Go ahead and weave this into the main plot, making the experience more personal. Enhance immersion with props and visuals. Handouts like old letters, cryptic maps, or eerie drawings can provide clues and deepen the mystery. Items like a rusted key or a mysterious amulet handed to players can make the game feel a little more tangible. Show haunting images or play short sound clips at key moments, and ensure that any props used are appropriate and won't cause distress to your players. As the Dungeon Master, you'll have a myriad of tools at your disposal. Use narrative techniques like foreshadowing, dramatic irony, and cliffhangers to build suspense. Create memorable non-player characters that can aid or hinder your players. This will add a lot of depth to your story. Of course, incorporate traps, cursed areas and items, or a corrupting influence that poses non-combat threats. For example, a foggy moor that saps the strength of those who linger too long, and adds a bit of urgency and dread without a single monster attack. If you've ever used optional rules in the 2014 version of the Dungeon Master's Guide, let me know. And for those of you who haven't, it's called Honor and Sanity. Optional ability scores meant for horror games or games that include horror elements. And for the purpose of this video, I'm just going to cover the Sanity ability score. For players using the standard array, you add an additional score of 11. If the point-buy system is in use, you grant an extra 3 points. And for those rolling their ability score, simply have them roll for the added abilities as they would for the standard 6. For monsters or NPCs that lack these scores, you can substitute Charisma for Honor and Wisdom for Sanity when needed. The Sanity score is crucial in campaigns that dive into cosmic horror or involve entities of utterly alien nature, beings that can shatter a character's mind simply by being perceived. Maybe your warlock finally glimpses the great old one. Sanity measures a character's mental resilience in the face of such incomprehensible horrors. A high sanity score indicates a character who remains level-headed, while a low score suggests someone who is vulnerable to madness. Sanity checks are necessary when characters encounter knowledge or phenomena that challenge their normal understanding. This might include recalling forbidden lore about alien creatures, deciphering incomprehensible writings, or attempting to learn spells from tomes of forbidden knowledge. Sanity saving throws are required when characters face situations that could put them towards madness, such as seeing a creature from the far realm for the first time, making direct contact with an alien mind, or resisting spells that threaten their mental stability. Failing a sanity throw can result in short-term, long-term, or indefinite madness. Each instance of long-term or indefinite madness also reduces the character's sanity by 1, emphasizing the lasting impact of their character's experience. Again, when a character's sanity score drops below a certain level, say maybe what they started with in the game, you can pick from the short-term or long-term effects or indefinite flaws of madness to really help sell the horror theme. And as the Dungeon Master, it is important to balance the use of these mechanics to enhance the game without overwhelming the players. Use sanity checks and saving throws judiciously to maintain steady buildup of tension. Provide opportunities for characters to recover lost sanity, such as through rest, counseling from wise mentors, or successful confrontations with lesser horrors that bolster their confidence. Remember, you're not alone in this endeavor. Many DMs have tackled horror-themed campaigns and share their insights. Explore online forums like Reddit's r/DM Academy, which can offer advice on experiences from fellow DMs. Consider using published horror adventures for inspiration or as frameworks. There are numerous podcasts and videos where DMs run horror campaigns. And speaking of horror-themed games, if you want to help support my upcoming live stream that will premiere sometime in 2025, you should consider heading over to my Patreon. In addition to exclusive benefits like bonus episodes and giveaways, you'll help support the upcoming stream and all the commissioned artwork that will be going out to real artists to bring it to life. The link, that's in the video description below. Finally, remember that running a horror campaign can be intense for you as well. Take breaks when needed. Managing the atmosphere and content can be draining. Don't get so caught up in creating fear that you forgot to have fun. And make sure that you end each session with a player check-in. Maybe some lighthearted jokes, and spending some time helping your players recover from the dark universe you've created. We believe in aftercare here on the channel. So there you have it. Running a horror-themed D&D campaign is challenging because it flips the script on traditional gameplay. It demands careful attention to the atmosphere, pacing, and player engagement. But with these tips up your sleeve, I'm confident you have what it takes to be on your way. And if you found this guide helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe. Let's reach our first goal of 1,000 subscribers. Your support means the world to me, and it helps keep this community growing. Plus, it'll ensure you won't miss out on future content where we explore more tips, tricks, and topics to engage and enhance your TTRPG experiences. So until next time, keep rolling those dice, and may your quests be epic.